The Quake Pro League rages on here as we find ourselves at the halfway point. 4 games done, 4 more to go. And this is where we get into some more American mashups, as we will have dooi versus psygib to kick us off with the second half of the show, Dan.
Yeah, why not?
Yes. Yes.
Let's do it.
Thank you for allowing me to do so. Otherwise, we would have been stuck here for ages. We never would have been able to continue.
I'm excited to see Scalebearer.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's one of the things I'm excited for.
Good.
The rest is just exciting to me.
So you're excited?
Sorry, I'm kind of still acclimatizing to having eaten, so my
Right, yeah. Are you in a bit of a food coma
my
whilst you're trying
brain
to...
is just not really with it. But no, in all honesty, like I said before, this is going to be... I think it's a challenge for dooi. I want to see him do more. Like, obviously lagging at the bottom of the leaderboard a little bit. So to climb back up, a 3-0 will do a lot there. But he needs to start adjusting his play a little bit. Defensive dooi might not do it today.
No. That was nice. Well done. Bit of onomatopoeia.
Alliteration, why not?
Yeah. That's what we're about here on the Quake Pro League. But yeah, obviously his opponent in psygib as well could definitely pack a punch. But talking of dooi, I don't know. For me, it's still a bit of a learning curve, right? We've seen that he's very slow. He likes to stay hidden. He's kind of like the plot for the movie. Oh, I've lost my train of thought. Is it the Quiet Ones? I can't remember what it is. It's the do you know what I mean? The movie where they're trying to avoid the aliens by not making noise. Basically, anyone he plays would be that, because he just like lurks. I've lost it. Don't worry, it's gone. It's gone. It's all gone downhill.
Thematic music for a video, yeah.
It is good.
Absolutely brilliant. No, but I mean, dooi came relatively new to the scene. Near the start of the Quake Champions, he was putting out some really big results, and I think his performances have plateaued a little bit. So he's definitely got the capability. It might be a mental thing, but you never know. But we'll see how he does against psygib.
Yeah. psygib, a little bit on the other side of the spectrum when it comes down to sort of his play style. A bit more aggressive, a bit more in your face. You know, he might come out windmilling.
Just one of those guys that just charges head first at you. Yeah, I can see that. But at the same day, he does have the skill to back it up. As we can see here, he likes to play fast. He likes to get in your face. Got a great rail. And it's just... I mean, that's born out of the fact that he's traditionally a team player, and adapting that to duel can be a challenge sometimes, because it does lead you to overcompensate with your aim and be over aggressive. But at the same time, once you get into those commanding positions, he definitely has the capability to play a really sound, fundamental duel to take him all the way through.
Yeah, another disgusting theme tune there from him as well. Very metal sounding riff, very mechanical. It's hopefully what we're going to see coming out. That mechanical level of understanding of the game, something that could give him an edge. But let's see at the picks and bans, as those are really going to decide who has the hot hand going into the series. Dan, what's your immediate takeaway?
I like the fact that we get a corrupted keep in here. It's one of my favourite maps to watch. I think it's more strategical than people might think it is, in terms of very hard on the positioning, extremely hard when you're out of control. I know dooi's pretty good on it as well, but other factors, I'm really keen on that Scalebearer. But starting from the top, Blood Covenant, fairly standard matchup. Ranger also good on this map, but Nyx is the powerhouse, so I would definitely favour Nyx on that regard. The one saving grace for Ranger is you do generally use the die roll quite a lot, so going back to that vial discussion, the time vial again, we'll be able to scoot those up if you use it effectively. Going into Corrupted Keep, the Galena is particularly strong here. That is a very good position to use your totems. And finally, Molten Falls. We've seen some absolutely crazy matchups on there today, so why not finish it off with a Scalebearer?
A Scalebearer versus Strog, no less, as well. So, I don't know. We're in for a little bit of a wild one. I feel like that is definitely going to be potentially a slobber knocker to round us out with this.
Slobber knocker?
Yeah.
That's a word I haven't heard in a while.
No?
No.
It's a good word, though, isn't it?
I love it. I'm going to add it to the old repertoire.
Yeah, bring that on board. You never know when you might need a slobber knocker.
I can't use it in this broadcast now because I've recognised how much I like it and the fact that you own that word, but
it's been coined.
When this contractual obligation of me casting with you is done and I get to work with someone else, I can bring it back out.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, and then you can say it's your word.
And I can wear that shirt and claim it's mine as well.
If you want, yeah. We'll get you a slightly bigger size up, and then I reckon you'll be fine. It'll fit the traps.
Just about.
Yeah, well, maybe. If you stop doing all those lifts, doing all them shrugs, we'll see.
Less of the burgers as well. Yeah, big suit's back another time.
Nightmare. He's outrageous to work with. But this game should hopefully be outrageous. Who's your immediate prediction? Are you going with?
I think psygib.
Yeah.
Yeah, my gut says psygib. It really depends. I do think psygib might be playing into Dewey's hand a little bit with the way he plays.
Okay.
And if he doesn't step up in terms of the basics of the duel, I think Dewey's a better natural dueler, but just doesn't have the mechanical capabilities of psygib.
My worry for me with Dewey still is that I feel like the playstyle he has still lets him down in some scenarios, and he needs to be able to adapt a little bit more.
Absolutely. I think that's what we were kind of referring to at the start of this, is that yes, he can do what he does, and he does that well, but it's a little bit one-dimensional. So it'd be great to see him progress even further.
Right now, though, this is going to be vintage Dewey on display. Basically just trying to keep his distance, keep noise to a minimum, and utilise the radio silence. Although an early fight coming through could be just what the doctor ordered. Dewey, a slight advantage on the stack. psygib, let's see if he can try and get an edge here as they battle over the Mega. Oh, falling down to an awkward position as they fight around the pillars. psygib's taken so much damage, the Dire Orb goes out, but he doesn't want to follow through. He's warded him off. Surely at this point he'll back off, but instead, no, it's a full commit, Dan. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
What's going on?
It's been insane. That whole engagement was very confusing because Dewey played it exceptionally smart. He did the fake rocket jump into double back, but it almost felt like psygib caught him off guard, even though Dewey was the one making that play. It was rather unusual. So there was 2 or 3 really good double backs, fake rocket jumps, and Dewey now has the stack and positional advantage. Should both have equal weaponry. And psygib's Ghost Walk isn't up just yet, but now it is. He can be a slightly more assertive on the map. So yeah, that initial exchange was very weird, but Dewey did show us some really great moves.
Nearly 2 minutes gone by now. After that opening confrontation, they both took a major item apiece. They've been able to keep the timings going as well. Essentially at this point, Dewey controls towards the Mega, and the Heavy is in the land of psygib. Both of them keeping a slow pace as well, not going to rush things or overcommit into anything. He's got 5 rails to work with.
psygib did use his Ghost Walk, but Dewey will have no information of that, so he still can't overcommit.
Ooh. Okay,
nice.
That's 2
rails.
really nice taps coming through, Dan. And now he's going to be restricted as well. Those 5 rails now suddenly turn into 4 that he has remaining in his inventory. He's got the rest of the weapons to play with, but if he wants to get some filthy rail shots off, he's going to struggle if he has any awkward misses. Gets himself back onto the high ground as well, so he has a ledge to work with, and now starts to go on the hunt. Ooh. Okay.
Nice follow-up. Dewey is using his passive well, getting into that high ground, controlling the catwalk as well, but psygib's just hitting way too much for Dewey to control at the moment.
Heavy's up. psygib sets his gaze on it. Even if he can just deny here, going for the pickup as well, as he will be able to walk onto it after taking a face full of rail, cancels out the damage that was dealt by Dewey, goes back on the hunt as he's chasing close towards him. He does have the opening advantage.
He does. Just in time to fit. Dewey recognises that.
Oh,
Does get popped up, however.
he's just got like one more rocket. He gets behind him, Dan, but he's missing everything. Even the rail on the getaway tries to go for the prediction. psygib, what is going on?
Doesn't need to press the mana though. Particularly the fact that he has nothing armor to work with. Doesn't fall for the Dire Orb. And eventually has a clean kill.
Fight ends up in his favour towards the end there, and psygib now chasing around. Ooh. Both of them in close proximity. He's going to have to pop the Ghost Walk to go away, back over towards the Mega. The rail goes through the ground and nearly hits him.
Yeah, Dewey for me needs to be making more effort to be pressuring psygib. Once Nyx gets up to a sizable stack, like the confidence in your play can rise huge, but she is very vulnerable if you don't allow her to do that. And Dewey is just not doing enough in and around the map.
No, you don't.
That, however, did work out.
Sends him flying off into the stratosphere. He does return to the ground after using the Ghost Walk as a getaway tactic. Still the 2-0 advantage. That's also going to be the heavy pickup as he cha-cha slides to the right, avoiding the rocket.
But that's my exact comment right there, is that there's no way psygib should be getting that scot-free when dooi just did as much damage he did.
There's just no follow-up.
Exactly, like, that's when you need to be putting pressure onto psygib, at least popping the Ghost Walk. But the fact is now, look at the stack. psygib is firmly back in control with position and is going aggressive now. dooi just has to run. He is aware of that, however.
The scary bit is, right, there'd still be no problem with any of this, of what dooi's doing, if this was 0-0. But the fact it's 2-0, and we're getting up close towards the 6-minute mark now as well, and he's still looking like, even when he has an opportunity to dive on a fight, he just isn't.
No. But in saying that, the same thing we said earlier in the day, keeping it to a 2-0 is better than letting it drip to a 6 or 7-0.
Yeah.
So, but in my honest opinion, it's playing to lose. It's playing not to lose rather than playing to win. And that will always leave you vulnerable. I think you need to be far more positive.
Small knock-up. He's going to juggle him in the air and slow down the push. psygib, for once, his stack wasn't incredible, but of course,
but we
he's
can
going to
see
find
there,
himself some
exactly.
extra.
That's exactly it, right? That dooi does hit a nice rail, which brings Nyx down to a level where she's not comfortable, particularly without the Ghost Walk up, to make any sort of commitment.
Right.
And it's just from doing that damage in between the major items. That rail again is going to force the Nyx to escape. Probably popping up the Ghost Walk if dooi can push in a little bit now.
They might actually clash head-to-head here. Nice. The drop down. But there's the Ghost Walk, and this completely negates anything that dooi can do. The backstab's going to come around as well. psygib, wow, slapped in the face, brought down to 5 HP. dooi has done so much damage. This should be an opportunity for him to finally get a kill on the board. Instead, he opts to try and go for the Mega, the smart play to steal it away, but he needs to kill.
Why did you stick around? That was completely unnecessary from psygib. Yes, he hit a rail. Perhaps he thought dooi was railable, but as you see, right, then dooi using the Dire Orb aggressively to catch up with psygib after taking that Mega to recoup everything he just got hit from. He knows he's there, though.
Ooh. Instead, going for the MG, pepper spraying him down, riddling him with bullets, and now switches back to some firepower that will really pack a punch. The rocket launcher coming out, but he's not given a chance to get a direct off. Oh, psygib underneath though, does take one to the face. He's being chased as well. The Ghost Walk, it's nearly to ring out as he gets pushed so close to one of the ledge. That's the Dire Orb back on the entry, and he will go down. My goodness.
And that's a perfect example of putting pressure onto these items, even though you don't have a stack advantage. You come out with the kill, right? Good play coming out from psygib there.
And we're hitting that 8-minute mark. It's a 3-1 split. psygib, he's back in the lead once again and giving himself even more of an edge to play with. He needs to die here for dooi to have a chance. And finally, he gets a pick.
Now this is a tense game. 2 minutes remaining. dooi does have full control. He should be quite easy to get over to that Mega right now. Doesn't have a rail though and didn't rocket jump up to get it. Will that come back to haunt him? Because psygib now just pick up the rail. So there is that big advantage for psygib. He needs to capitalize it. He probably expects dooi to have a rail though. That's the only good thing.
dooi, he can initiate if he wants to. He has the Dire Orb for the chase. He's done so much damage. He needs this frag to put it into an equal situation and try and play for the game. Ghost Walk comes out. The getaway works flawlessly though. psygib, he's on the other side of the map now.
dooi needs to get back to get this. He doesn't push in. That's probably smart. But at the same time, he is still losing with 1 minute to spare. He has allowed psygib back into this game.
Oh no, there's been so many opportunities where dooi was the man with the higher HP pool.
And it has come back to haunt him that he hasn't got that rail, because he can't close the gap without hitting a rail now.
No.
Ghost walks up. He hasn't got Dire Orb just yet. He's just being picked off.
It's just the Arsenal that's so much stronger right now for psygib.
Yeah, psygib realizing he has the rail advantage, maintaining high ground, maintaining difference. Sneaks away that Mega, and it's kind of all she wrote at the minute, because he's got to bust through that Ghost Walk as well as the full stack of Nyx. And he does!
Wow. Okay, that's huge. That's definitely one way to come back into the game. The Dire Orb, as he reinitiates, strips psygib to pieces here, Dan. There's 20 seconds left. This should be going the way of sudden death unless there is something miraculous going to occur.
psygib did the one thing he shouldn't have done. He went in to try and kill the game. He wanted to end dooi. All he needed to do was maintain his difference. There was nothing dooi could have done to frag him if that was the case.
dooi punishing. A lot of damage done, stripping the stack from psygib, bullet by bullet.
And there's no Ghost Walk up. I don't know if dooi knows that just yet. I don't expect anything drastic to come up. dooi still doesn't have a rail. Can you please get a rail? He should get one just now.
This is going to be the opportunity, and after picking up the heavy, goes for the pickup on the rail, has it to play with. psygib, sat, waiting for the Mega to come up. It'll give him some more health and give him a buffer as he's being tagged. The rail is huge. He can go in with a Dire Orb. That's the initiate, but the Ghost Walk is used, and another escape comes through for psygib.
I think he knows where he is, though, because he can't have gone far. He does know he's in the area because he did pick up the health either side of it. So he knows he's in that area somewhere.
Oh, that's such a yikes. If that hit him, that was it. That was going to be the game right there. Set a match.
For this, he is.
You win.
A big commit from psygib. He was hungry for the armor. He needed it to try and stay alive and get some stack back up. Instead, though, it was the wrong move to make. A wrong foot forward. dooi swings into action, gets the kill with the LG, and that is going to be the opening round going his way.
And the one thing we said at the very start of the day has come back true. Like, dooi wasn't doing anything proactive, but he made sure the score was so close that any time he got back into the game, it was a quick turnaround for him to actually even it up. And all due respect to dooi, he played great. psygib did throw it a little bit at the end there. I think he was a little bit, and I think that's his background in wanting to fight. I probably would have done the same thing. I want to end it now.
Yeah.
He jumped across, tried to end it. He knew dooi was hurting, but at the same time, that Ranger turnaround with the Dire Orb was absolutely perfect. And dooi traditionally was known for these Dire Orbs coming out to play. dooi special. Yeah, that was a really tense game. A lot of unexpected plays from both players. Right here, that's all he needed to do was maintain his difference and he would have won that game. Yeah. But great play by dooi in the end.
In the last 30 seconds as well, that then forces it into this scenario, heading over into sudden death. At that point, I mean, there was nothing for him to play for, so obviously he just had to try and go and get some health.
I mean, dooi did a great read. He came up after getting psygib super low. The health wasn't taken at the top of those stairs. The armor wasn't taken at the bottom, which means psygib hadn't left that area of the map. Read it perfectly, saw him use the Ghost Walk, I believe, and then just tracked him all the way to the heavy armor. psygib probably shouldn't have gone for it, but as you say, like, he's on, 2-3 health. Yeah. There's no health on the map. There's nothing left. Thought he could steal it away and somehow get into the game. Good game.
He had to risk it for a biscuit, but it was not a good one.
An Oreo.
All. No, yes, indeed. Other brands of biscuit are available,
allegedly.
Of course. But Dan, that's the first map taken. Sat down there, as it is obviously going to be going the way of dooi. Good stuff coming through from him so far. How do you think the series goes from here? Has this averted your expectations?
No. I still think psygib played well enough to take it 2-1. I think we said 2-1 in the initial stages. dooi did what dooi does best. He kept it close. He kept it basic. He hit some good shots at the end. Yeah. And essentially that's what won in the game. Overcommittal from psygib, and I think that's another thing we also mentioned, is that psygib eventually played into his hands. And so if he can keep doing that, there's no reason why dooi can't take it all the way.
Well, we do have the stats coming up for this one as well. Obviously, we just had Blood Covenant shut down. Coming up next, though, will be Corrupted Keep, the second map in the series between these two. Are you excited for this one?
I am. I really like Corrupted Keep. We haven't seen it today.
Okay.
I think back in the day, dooi used to play this quite a lot, but that was back in the clutch meta. And so I think he's using BJ, if I remember that graphic rightly. BJ versus Galena, and this is one of the maps where BJ really does shine. Quite similar to Awoken, the same way that Kula uses it. Quite these really intense close quarter combat situations, and you just have that get out of jail free card almost, where you go on one, you just pop it. Doesn't matter if you've got a totem behind you, you're probably still going to win. Whereas Galena, you can use them extremely tactfully as well. lots of choke points. You can fall back on them, you can use them aggressively, you can use them on that teleporter. They're bloody nightmare when you use them on that teleporter. So it's going to be a good matchup, I think, and it's always fun to watch. Again, the one thing to watch out for on this map is it can run away from you really quickly.
Yeah. I think that's definitely going to be a point that dooi will want to try and avoid as well with his playstyle naturally. That's just something that comes through, right? He does try and keep his distance. It worked pretty well in terms of the first map. We did see it have to get quite awkward towards the later stages for him to be able to claw it back. But he did, and that's definitely going to bode well for his confidence, potentially.
Yeah, there were a few uncomfortable fights, but it was like, he's a fighter, right?
Yeah.
He ground out that victory. He did what needed to be done. He stuck his ground. It's not always fun to play. Sometimes you do want to push, you do want to be aggressive, but at the end of the day, it's a duel. You need to keep patient, and if there's anyone that's patient, it's going to be dooi.
Well then, the Outlaw himself avoiding being arrested on the first map, so he won't be thrown in the county jail. Let's see if he's going to be able to pick up any more loot as he carries on in the series now up against psygib once again. Nearly a ring out to kick us off. Instead, dooi just falling back down towards the ground as they're both left on an awkward opening stack here, just mere seconds into the game.
Yeah, psygib coming off definitely better from that, as dooi's double shotguns didn't do anywhere near enough for a close quarter combat. However, they both will be able to fall back onto their respective side of the maps and hopefully pick up some items. psygib is going to move across to try and deal some damage. I do like that move, but that rocket from dooi, jeez! Knocked him into the lava, finishes him off. Great start from dooi.
50 seconds into the game, dooi, he's going to be on the hunt. Try and see what he can walk away with here, if he can actually get himself any more to play with after finding the initial opening frag on the board. Low on the rockets, but at least he's got his distance.
Yeah, psygib learning his lesson, keeping the higher ground here as dooi stamples through, pops the jewel as we said, just to try and close out and secure that mega. psygib forced to back away. Doing not enough damage, which is exactly why dooi can push in there.
Now then.
But dooi doesn't want to overcommit, but he might be late for this heavy armor now, and he is late. He's letting, once again, he's let psygib get away with that when it really should not have been his item.
Ooh. Corner going to be turned. dooi firing down on the rocket. So much damage done. He wants to go on the chase. He'll turn the corner. The super shotgun so effective at point blank range as psygib is going to be splattered across the map like a bug on a windshield. Oh, the dooi! The return comes straight back to bite him in the bottom, Dan, as psygib's looking for trades and he's getting them all day.
He is. It was the right play from dooi, just poor execution. He read the spawn well. Caught psygib in the choke point, but psygib managed to get out the choke point in the end. And that, ooh, close there. dooi comes away with the kill, this time pretty clean. 3-1, 2.5 minutes in.
Backstab with the LG potentially here. Ooh, nearly forced him into the juggle of the rockets, so psygib would have been walking into his demise. Instead, he's quick on his feet. He gets away, dancing into a better position, dropping down the totems as he goes as well to give himself a little bit of extra protection. Direct rocket is beautiful,
nice.
And the follow-up is even better.
Has the dual wield if he needs it, but he doesn't even need... I don't know how those missed.
Oh. Dude, dooi's completely gone on the aggressive front. Damn, what?
No way. That should not have been psygib's kill. That is so frustrating as a player, because you know you've done everything right and just super nail gun just tears you apart. He should never really got over the room in the first place, but I guess in hindsight, slightly greedy keeping onto the dual wield when he could have just popped it and got an easy frag. Probably going to regret that now.
Stopwatch. Tank.
LG turn in the corner, the rocket's going to be fired out as well, looking to try and get the connections across. psygib, he's 2 frags down compared to what dooi has to play with here. The nails are being shot in his general direction as well.
And we see the dual wield come out as dooi isolates and protects that room. If psygib was going to commit, he was going to die. Not seeing an awful lot of preemptive totems coming out from psygib, using him more as... Jeez. There's some good rockets though.
He's running low on rockets. He's only got 5 left at this point. Starts to go for the push back over. He is getting connections off with it. Both of them pretty much in a mirror matchup of stock, but it is the steal on the heavy that will save the day for psygib. No, it won't, dooi. The rockets are just too superb as they hit one after another. 5 frags to his name. He's normally known for his defensive playstyle. Instead, today, he's going all in to decimate.
He is, and he wasn't going to be greedy that time. Popped the dual wield immediately. Learned his lesson from before. And this is where psygib now needs to mix up the tempo. We've seen him push and push and push, and doi's handling that. So I would like to see a little bit more calculation coming out from psygib. The same way as doi's spamming out the map, playing a bit more positional. I think psygib needs to revert and slow it down just a little bit.
Dooi chasing his way around. LG comes out to punish as he looks to try and get a 7th frag. Oh, the blowback from that, sending him miles away from his opponent here. But he's still confident. He doesn't want to back off. He doesn't want to give up in the fight. He's just looking for a different angle to attack from. And he's done so much damage. He pops the dual wield at just the right time. The shotguns will slam.
Yeah, the decision making from dooi has been exceptional. And psygib again pushing, pushing, pushing. He knows he's got the mechanical advantage over dooi, and he's trying to abuse that. And for a lot of the fights, doi's positioning and decision making has been spot on.
It's a whole lot better from him. Playing the defensive style when he can, going in and actually looking aggressive at the right moments, not just being slow for no reason, right? It's actually changing the tempo.
No, and that's it. And that's why we discussed potentially psygib almost running into doi's hands a little bit. The fact that dooi wants him to attack. Just needs to be careful now that dooi doesn't have a stack to work with. And it's a tiny bit early for the Mega. Can he get onto it? He should be able to when he does, as psygib escapes with only 1 HP.
He's got 2 totems down, so he's 1 away from getting that overstack off. Well, make that none, as they've all been removed.
Slight problem of having 2 totems in one spot.
Yeah.
But necessary to regain his lost health.
Here goes the chase. He does see doi's tail as he gets behind him. That was really well executed on the LG with a fast flick up. Smart weapon prioritization of knowing what would give him the edge in this fight. Dooi doesn't have much stack here, Dan.
No, but doi's doing a great job of playing, great job of playing slow, reading psygib.
Rockets are whizzing by. He's going to fall down to the ground and look to try and make his move across. Gets out of there, though.
I think psygib needs to think a little bit more about his placements of his totems, which is a little bit fine. They're very, very strong tools.
I think dooi did just fly into one then as well, though. That was actually just out in the open. It looked like he took a bit of damage from it.
I think he took it out with his rockets, I think. Took damage from something else. Dooi needs to try and get at least some light armor. psygib's doing a good job of cycling the heavies now. Does steal away that light armor, leaving dooi with only 1, and he's going to go over and try and steal that as well. So doi's living a painful life, but the one saving grace is he did steal 1 away, and he has the dual wield to work with. So psygib does still need to be careful, particularly if he's going to push into any sort of choke points, which is where dooi wants to take the fights.
Well, here comes the drop down, the trapdoor entry for psygib. He still needs 2 more kills to equalize this one and put it on even footing. Oh, he goes straight into the BJ with 2 guns out to slay, but he's not given an opportunity to put psygib on the DECK, Dan.
Not at all. psygib doing a good job of not overcommitting and just taking up those major items. No, he can't push out at the minute. That was close.
It's all to play for now as well. 1 frag is all that sits between them both, and it's at crunch time, as we don't have much left to play with in terms of the clock.
No, but that shotgun was absolutely critical because it meant psygib couldn't keep and retain full control. Nice rocket. And he needs 1 more totem now for that overstack as well, but a good 20 seconds left.
Scary bit is, though, Even if he gets his overstack off, dooi, he has that dual wield ready. He's been waiting for the opportunity to use it. He's so close to both of these totems. One of them was a lot more exposed than the other and quite visible. So if he spots it, it's an easy frag to take through. At this point though, 60 seconds left on the clock. The Mega's been claimed and he does have an overstack available if he wants to pop it.
But we won't see dooi leave that side of the map. Now going to play the corridors. That's where he wants to take a fight. He knows psygib's going to take a lot of damage if he pushes into him. But he has to. Obviously with a frag differential. I think dooi heard that and he's going to escape.
This third totem is the only trick he has up his sleeve, and it all depends on the usage of it, but there's the akimbo going out. He tries to use it to save himself, but it will not happen. dooi, with a sheer miraculous amount of HP. I think he had like 11 there. He gets the frag off the back of the double super shotgun.
Oh no! Oh. But that final play was the example of why this champion is so damn strong on maps like this.
Oh, the psygib space program. That's unlucky. dooi will go down, but it won't matter. It's not going to affect anything in the overall outcome there. As the camouflaged killer comes out on top, dooi locks it down on BJ with some great play.
Yeah. It was great play. And we saw psygib throw away potentially too many frags trying to regain control in the early stages of that game. dooi played it exceptionally well. Some really smart moves. But ultimately, the last part of the game you saw doi's strengths come out, was able to retain psygib despite that pressure. Each subsequent frag came very slowly, and psygib walked away a lot of the times having taken a significant amount of damage because of doi's positioning. And so that really kept doing the game because psygib couldn't extend any sort of advantage. He was kept strongly at bay by dooi.
There was just no lead to be built the entire time. I think dooi, it was just so much nicer to see that he actually just showed off, hey, here's the really high skill ceiling I have when it comes down to fights and understanding when to pick my battles. Because normally it's just such a slow play style where if he can avoid it, he will. Whereas today it looked more like, okay, I'm going to pick and choose when I want to play. It was playing for the win rather than playing not to lose this time around from dooi.
Yeah, for sure. And he was able to use that slow play style to get into positions and consistently deal damage to psygib. So psygib was always on the back foot. I think we missed it on the stats, but the actual damage differential was quite small. So despite psygib pressuring, it was very even overall in terms of damage output. And that's because of these type of positions from dooi. You can see there, like, dooi did an insane amount of damage for when he just should have died. Yeah. Which meant from then on, psygib couldn't push in as much as he wanted to. Even there, once again, dooi should have just died. But he didn't. He took him down and took 100 damage with him.
Oh no. It's a psygib POV as well from the suicide.
I want to watch this. Pixels.
It's so awkward. Well, here's the stats from that one as well, with map 2 going the way of dooi. That's the map pick of psygib being snatched away, Dan.
Yeah. We can see the rocket being the most prominent weapon on Corrupted Keep. No unusual stats there, just a lot more of the light armors coming out from dooi. That's the biggest kind of real difference that we see, but ultimately it felt that dooi was just more at home on that match. There was no rail, so he was just able to contain those fights and really pick and choose what was going on the map.
I think it worked a lot better to his play style, and it seemed like he was way more comfortable to actually just go, you know what, no, look, I'm going to initiate now, I'll try and dial it back here. It was a lot more varied compared to normally where it just feels like we have a very slow tempo and that will be how he'll play. This time, it just seemed way more organic. It was a whole lot better.
And I think the pick of having BJ as his champion and the double, he used the ability extremely well. I think sometimes doi's mechanical skills can be a little bit iffy, but having that obviously amplifies your output significantly. So it definitely gives him a lot more of a cutting edge than he does on other champions.
Yeah, the Outlaw cracking the whip right now as he is looking sickeningly good. Let's continue on though with what will be the decider between these two. Is dooi going to get himself a 3-0 and 16 points and run away with it as he robs the town blind? Let's find out as we get into our third deciding map then.
So excited for Scalebearer right now.
Scalebearer versus Sorlag. Versus Strog and Pika, no doubt as well. So this one is definitely going to provide us with some interesting moments.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of Strog and Pika today, even though it is currently favoured in the scene. I like the Pika on this map a lot. The use of the Pika can be really good across those split levels. You can use it to scout, you can use it to zone in a very safe sense, as you see there. You just can't get up to attack Strog, but so Pika's pretty much free to do what he wants, and so you're always going to get some free damage across those levels.
Also curious how many Bull Rush kills we're going to see.
Or how many Bull Rushes off the map we're going to see.
Ooh. That would also be naughty. Let's see if this man is going to be charging in like a rugby player. Ooh. He's getting the shots off at least. Damage being done to psygib.
Psygib is really on the back foot right now. Nothing to work with for at least another 15 seconds. Don't even think there's the light armor up on that side of the map because it was taken before.
dooi. Going to be able to deny the light armor there as well. Damages himself, picks it up to try and concede it from being taken for psygib.
Yeah, taken again. So psygib definitely has nothing to work with. One rail again will just mean he has to hide for a good another 30 seconds or so. Can't show his face at any of these major items just because it's too risky with nothing to work with. But the longer he stays alive, the more opportunity has to stack up. That's all he needs to do at this point in time. There's no real need to show his face until he gets something. But dooi does have a lockdown of all 4 items currently. Trying to bait that light armor, not working. psygib just getting timing on that, so now he should know at least the mega. I don't think he caught the heavy before, so he probably won't risk this.
At least he gets a light as well, so it's something to try and give him a bit more of a defense, because before this he was so starved for any type of item. So he's got the information, he's got some armor to work with, but he's also just taken a slap to the face. Sent with regards from dooi.
Not sure if he actually had a rail before then. The fact that he was going up that jump pad just there. It is quite a risky jump pad to go up because there's so many angles you can come at it from.
Oh, timing on getting over towards the heavy as well means that it's going to be picked up by dooi, and all of the damage that was done by psygib has quickly been negated. The ball rush down isn't going to work out, but it does set him up to get the shotgun.
I love the ball rush. Finally dooi on the board though. 3 minutes of hard work, and psygib did make that hard work as well. But that rail means psygib's not going to be able to really stick around. Tries to do something, but doi's prepared.
Rockets are going out. He is getting a bit more aggressive here as well, trying to add to this tally that he's got going. psygib nearly dead at that point. The Grim Reaper would have been looming over him, but he stays alive to at least try and fight another day. Yep,
and dooi not too fussed about overcommitting at the minute, quite happy just to cycle. If he does get 1 or 2 rails back to back, he might think about it, but at this point in time, extremely happy just to keep psygib at bay, whittle him down so psygib doesn't feel comfortable even showing his face at the major items.
One of the things I actually really like about dooi and the way that he approaches it with the weapon prioritization is how much he uses the super shotgun. I feel like it's actually quite underutilized these days in a lot of pros where they don't bust it out, and it feels like in so many scenarios the power it has is really, really useful.
No, for sure. It is almost a culture change as a player that you become so accustomed to using certain weapons, and weapon choice in itself is a very pivotal skill, and some players are just masters at it.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that could have been a rail straight to the lips. Unfortunately, it does miss out. dooi gets a bit of a tap on the exit, though, as psygib's going to be able to transfer some damage onto him. Both of them about equal stack, but dooi starts to rebuild his defense. That was a nice quick flick as well. A wrist breaker as he starts to highen up the tempo, trying to dance around and chase him down. He could be looking for his second frag here.
No, but dooi's got this map on lockdown. He might catch him with a ball rush here. Can he push in? Again, dooi playing extra safe. He's just strangling psygib off the map, and I think that's only one of the 2nd or 3rd major items that psygib's got. Critical rail there, meaning dooi felt a bit hesitant about pushing, but that's great follow-up.
God, that was such a wide swing from psygib afterwards as well. He left himself so exposed there. Lucky he actually got away at all.
dooi's even taking all the small items as well.
Oh, the ball rush. Can he do it? Straight past. Wants none of the shenanigans. flips up. He's going to try and fight him from the low ground. Moves on up to the high ground himself. And psygib once again retreats.
But what dooi did wrong there is that in using the bull rush and not succeeding, he got himself massively out of position and allowed psygib to get in and do so much damage to the point now where the game is just flipped on his head. And that is the finest of margins these guys are playing. psygib has been on the run for 6 minutes, and dooi makes one mistake. It's already 1-1.
This is the thing, he could throw himself out of whack with the way that he was playing it. It was so smooth before, but this is what mistakes might start to get made. He wanted to try and go for the bull rush. Instead, it's going to be some no more nails action.
Yeah, and sometimes you forget how tanky the scale bearer is. Just because of that reduced damage and overall stack that he has.
He's the big honcho.
He is a beast.
Who would win? One duo act or one beefy boy?
That's a good question.
Oh, it looks like the beefy boy is trying to do some damage. Goes in with a bull rush once again, but it's the mid-air rocket to finish. He's making a meal out of this one.
Can't even hear you. Yeah, I mean, he's got twinkle toes for such a big lad.
Well, you know, they say elephants are quite stealthy animals.
And they never forget, right?
They do never forget, indeed. And psygib, he's not going to be forgetting that one anytime soon.
No. Complete change of pace from psygib from the first 6 minutes. And we see now it was, I think, 1-0 at 6 minutes. It's now 4-2 at 7:20. This is what psygib probably wanted to do earlier, but dooi did not let him do it.
This can actually be alright, you know. If he gets the kill here, he can try to get major item control again, if he can work his way over towards Mega. Depending on the spawn, this might not be too bad for psygib in the late stages of the game, Dan.
No, not at all. Slight overcommittal from dooi there. He could use the Pika just to get random zoning, but decides just to back off. Yeah, slight overcommittal from dooi. He probably could have used the bull rush just to escape, but decides to commit with it as well.
Okay, well, getting into the very late stages, the final feud between these two, really. psygib, he needs to try and get another tag, well, another frag to try and equalise this one, bring it to a 4-4. dooi, all he's got to do, really, is play a game of cat and mouse, keep the chase on the go.
He does, but at the same time, it is relatively easy to hit a scale bearer. So having so much control from psygib is quite a worry for dooi. The only thing is, with that bull rush, as I said before, you can use it to escape if you need to.
Ooh. Warning rail, showing him that he's on the chase.
It's only one frag though, so there's really no need to push him unnecessarily. He knows where doi's camping.
How many times have we seen the fights go really quite hairy for him here as well? Intros in with the Pika, then follows up with the all-out aggression. He's hitting so many shots. Look how low he is, dooi! Barely surviving. Had about 40 HP combined there, but it won't matter. He gets the rail off. A kill that should have been psygib's, Dan, to tie the game.
Absolutely should have been psygib's. Did great job with the Pika to push dooi out of position, realising doi's then an open play essentially, and following in, but execution was just ultimately poor from psygib.
Oh, that is rough. The difference that could have made would have been huge. Instead, this is really now looking like it's going to be a 3-0 for dooi, which is going to be a miraculous feat, overthrowing the 7th place man in psygib. dooi, he's just got to run. He's literally just sprinting. He's just having a marathon. Oh.
He's a pretty quick big man as well.
He really is, especially when he starts sprinting like that.
No, is it going to come through that choke point? Should be a kill for dooi, and it is. Gets away with nothing, and that is 100% good games.
What on earth? Just crazy, crazy stuff there. So many key moments that could have changed this one. Again, though, I feel like this just, you know, harps back to map 1, where it was so tight the whole time and could have been decided by one frag here or there.
Yeah, and then I think psygib honestly should have won map 1. Map 2, dooi played phenomenally. psygib let it slip a little bit, being slightly over-aggressive, and this map, dooi played extremely well for the first 6 minutes. He kept psygib completely off the map, and as much as psygib wants to press, dooi did a great job of cycling all items. Perhaps psygib could have made a little bit more presence, perhaps when he knew dooi was taking away the lights, potentially setting up a trap there, but nevertheless, dooi played great. And it was too much too late for psygib in the end.
Yeah, just too hot to handle Too cold to hold.
That right there was really smart because he used the bull rush, realised he needed to cancel it, so pinged into a wall instead of going out and off the map.
Right.
So yeah, it's the small things that Dooi does like that shows he's such a quick thinking player.
Well, I think that's the thing. If there's definitely one takeaway to look at, especially, it makes sense because the way he approaches the game, right? Being quite slow, being quite methodical. It's the mechanical skill that he has. Mechanically, you can see that he understands the champions that he feels comfortable playing with to a very high pedigree. He understands how to play Quake champions just as a game entirely to such a high level that it's the mechanics that give him an edge.
Yeah, and I think he's one of those players when you watch him play and you see how smart he is, he's so close to being something great.
Yeah.
And then you see a series like this where there's so much that goes right, but at the same time it's still really close. So there's definitely a few refinements he needs to make to his game, improve potentially his mechanical skill, improve sometimes his decision making on how to be aggressive and his patterns on when he's aggressive. But ultimately, yeah, he's a great dueler, walks away with a 3-0, which we perhaps did not expect, even though at the very start of the show we kind of sided him as needing to take that step up, and I think that's a good way to go about it.
No, that's huge. The points he's going to get from this one are really going to help him start to climb to new heights, especially because psygib is currently global rank 7 as well, so definitely going to switch things up. Here are the results, though, in terms of the stats from this one. We also have the series stats, I believe, so we can take a look at those and see how it's shaped up so far. What are your final thoughts on this one, Dan?
I think you saw in the previous graphic that Dooi had 16 heavy armors, psygib 2. That just sums up that game for you, that Dooi just did the fundamentals and the basics extremely well. But once again, like, the series was very, very close. I think Dooi put up a great fight, was fortunate to walk away with a 3-0, but definitely deserved the series win overall.
Yeah, Dooi, I mean, he's done the business. He's turned up when he needed to. Played a great game the whole way through. Definitely a shaky series at moments, and I feel like there was an opportunity there that this really could have been flipped on its head, if not just a 2-1 in favour of psygib, literally just decided by maybe 1 or 2 different frags.
Yeah, I think maps 1 and 3 could have gone either way. I do feel map 2 was deservedly Dooi's, but again, it was a very close series overall, and that was the most impressive I felt Dooi's played for a few weeks at least.
All right, well, it's awesome to see the progression that we've got coming out from Dooi there, as he does look better and better each time we see him, definitely proving that not only can he be a very good defensive player, he can also use that aggression. But let's see what's coming up next, if this one is going to be a rodeo that you will not want to miss, as we do have another game coming up after the break, CNZ versus Venga. This is one that you were very excited for, Dan.
Yeah, I am. I think Venga's a guy with a lot of potential. I love watching him, but at the same time, CNZ, quite like Base, as we said before, probably even more so than Base, is someone that's really underrated. He hasn't been at this level or in the scene at this level for a while, but he's been in and around that caliber of player for many, many years. And the reason I like CNZ is that he mixes it up so much. He's extremely versatile. I think many people categorize CNZ as someone who is defensive. They put him as like Base 2.0 sort of thing, that level. Yeah. But we saw him last week. He tore Base to pieces and Base 3-0'd Cypher this week, So he's a player that can go places, I think, if he puts his mind to it.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot to prove. It's looking like he is trying to do that, as well as opponent in Venga. If you just want to see some flashy, high skill, high flying Quake, you're definitely going to be in the right place once Venga gets in the server, because he can provide you with so much exciting action. But that is still to come. That will be up after the break when we return with more Quake Pro League. For now, though, we'll bid you adieu before we return after the break.